Yeah, sorry, I made a mistake. I'm gonna hang on just a second. I had to call.
Hello. Thank you for calling Child and Family All Nations Coordinated Response Network. If you are calling to ask for help for yourself or a child, or to share your concerns about a child or family, please press 1. If you are called, please hold while we transfer your call. Child and Family All Nations?
Hi, how are you today?
Hi, good, thank you.
Good. I'm calling to share my concerns about a family.
Protection concerns?
Right. Well, concerns about a family in
Yeah.
distress. Like.
What's their last name?
Sorry.
What's the mom's last name?
Murray.
Murray?
Yeah.
And first name?
Cynthia.
Do you know about how old she is?
I don't know exactly, but like, are you going to ask me, can I speak to somebody, or how's this going to work?
Well, I don't know if she already has it. Do you have her birth date or anything? Because there's quite a few. I'm just not sure if they already have involvement with us or not.
I think they do, actually.
So, but you don't know her birth date, eh?
No, I don't. No.
Did they ever? Oh. Do you have an address?
No, but I think they were recently in the news.
Well, maybe with that information, and I can let you speak to screening. Maybe they can sort it out further.
Okay.
Maybe they
sure.
have a little more availability.
Yeah, because when I called,
Yeah.
it said if you have concerns regarding a family or a child, then you press 1. So I have concerns about this family
yes,
and their children.
I know you do, but if they already have involvement with another agency, that's who you'd have to speak to. But right now I can't find it because there's so many of them, the same name.
Oh.
So I'll let you speak to our screening, okay?
Okay.
Just a moment.
Sure. Hello?
Good afternoon, Ingrid.
Hi. Hi, is this the silk department?
No, sorry, where are you trying to call?
Screening?
Child and Family Services?
Okay, this is the silk department? No?
No, this is Child Protection.
Oh, it's a screening, no? So, like silk screening, is that it?
No, it's for child safety.
Oh, okay. What about, when I first called the number, the 944 4200 number, it said if you have concerns about a family or children, press 1. So that's what I did.
Yes.
So I'm at the right place then, right?
Yeah, I don't know why you're asking about silk screening, though.
Oh, because it said something to do with screening. The lady told me it was something to do with screening, so I associated that to silk screening,
Okay, yeah, well, nothing to do with silk screening, but everything to do with screening calls for child protection.
Okay. So so where do we start? What do we do?
What is the name of the family that you have concerns about?
It's Murray, Murray.
And the first name?
The mother's name, I believe, is Cynthia.
And do you know her date of birth?
I don't know that.
And do you know her address?
I don't know either.
Does she reside in Winnipeg?
I believe so. She was in the news just recently, as a matter of fact.
What was she in the news for?
I think it was something to do with CFS. Actually, I watched a media reporting from CBC News, Manitoba.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. And so, what were your concerns, or
My concerns are that from watching this news reporting, like it seems that the family is being subjected to a situation of extreme distress. And quite frankly, it looks like the family is actually under siege to a point where they're not even sure, how or when to discipline their children anymore. And I feel sorry for them.
Okay. So I'm just kind of Googling it so I can see which article you're talking about.
Okay.
Was that Cynthia Ramos-Murray
Right.
about the slapping complaint?
Yeah. That's the one.
Oh, okay. So is your concern more or less about that
Are
there
you
was
on?
an
Are you on? Are
investigation?
you on the same thing that I'm on? It's a CBC News, and it says
Yeah.
that Winnipeg mom in a quote CFS nightmare unquote
Yeah, that's
after
the
someone
article.
calls in
Yeah.
a slapping complaint. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
just wondering because you mentioned Winnipeg and slapping, but you didn't mention CFS nightmare, which is the first thing that caught my eye.
Okay. So were you were concerned that there was, I guess you're concerned about what the article was saying about her experience?
No, actually, I saw her speaking in the to CBC News to the journalist who was filming, and it became very, very apparent to me that like she is in distress, and by distress I mean I'm sure she looks like a very, very capable, loving, and caring parent, but because of the exuberant and like overkill, it seems anyway, perhaps actions of the CFS agency involved, it really looks like they're affecting this family in a horrifically negative way. I mean, the mother says right in this reporting that, we don't even know, how to discipline our kids anymore. And if it's got to that extent, you know what? If the involvement or the attempted recruiting of their children into the Child Protective Services industry in Canada is having such a negative effect on this family. Like, I'm a Canadian citizen, and I have to tell you, I am deeply concerned that someone should take a decision, like, as quickly as possible and either inform this family that the file is closed or, move on to the next step, which is court. Because this family is obviously being affected in a terribly, terribly negative way. And I can't for the life of me, agree with or understand that an agency that is there to actually protect children and, keep families united and support them, provide aid, assistance, and counseling, could have or even would continue to have such a negative effect on a family once they're aware of the effect that they're having on this family. And what I mean by that is there must be millions of people who watch this reporting, and I'm sure that people in your office watched it also, because the first thing, the first and foremost of Child Protective Service agencies appears to be their image and credibility. So I'm sure that people watch this media reporting. So what I'm concerned about, and the reason I'm making this phone call, is I would like to know, what is the agency doing to protect this family from your very agency and their exuberance or zealousness, like, or I'm just curious.
And I can't really speak to a specific case or a specific family out of respect for their confidentiality, right? And me not personally being familiar with that. If you'd like, I can give you the phone number of a supervisor that you could call and maybe share your thoughts with.
Okay, and
my role here is to receive new child protection referrals. Like, for example, if you yourself had seen a child get injured, and you were concerned
Well, these
with
children,
that
yeah,
viral to
that's
follow up,
exactly.
right?
I'm glad
Yeah.
you're explaining that to me, because that's exactly why I'm calling, because the effect of the agency on this family is directly affecting the children's personal security and their personal development, which is not supposed to happen.
Hmm. So, would you like the number for a supervisor at my agency?
Oh, do you own it?
Or no?
Is this your, like, are you the chief executive officer of this CEO of the agency?
No, I am just like I explained before.
Okay.
I'm just an
Oh, the
intake
screening
screener.
intake. Okay, okay.
All I do is open up new files if there isn't a file already opened on a family. So it
Okay.
has nothing to do with any of the ongoing services that families receive. I mean, like I understand that you're concerned about the impact that the child welfare involvement has had, and this is in the
Is
news,
having,
and that's what you're
unless it's a
responding on,
closed
yes.
file.
But I mean, I can
I mean, aren't there
redirect
kids?
your call to
Aren't
someone
there?
else that might.
Yeah, aren't there kids who who are like in need of real services, in real protection?
Of
Like,
course,
yeah, like I'm a taxpayer and I'm paying, my taxes are paying for these services, and I and I can't, I'm laughing, but it's probably because I don't want to start crying, because yeah, my tax dollars are going towards this apparent witch hunt, and I could understand somebody making a phone call and your agency following up, but to go to the extent that you have gone, I mean, this family is deeply, deeply affected by the very intrusive measures. And I think it's overkill. I think it's not necessary. If the
yeah.
kids were coming to school with marks, if a teacher called and said there's marks on these kids, if there was, hundreds and hundreds of documented cases of, abuse, physical abuse in the hospitals on any one of these children, and I think there's 3 or 4, I can understand that too. But a phone call? Like, wouldn't a phone call necessitate a simple phone call to the family? And shouldn't the person be competent enough to be able to, determine through the phone if this is
Well,
just...
no, and that's part of what makes our job so difficult, right? Is because we can't possibly discern from a telephone call what's actually happening in someone's home. So part of our job is we treat everyone the same. Every call that we receive, we have standards. We have
So everyone
standards we
gets
need to
dragged through
meet.
the mill, no matter what the situation.
They should receive the same type of service and investigation process until the matter has been investigated, right? Once a matter has been investigated, then a file can be closed. But if we were not following up and not seeing children and not speaking to parents, then we would be liable if something happened to that child.
But,
and then the media article would be about, well, why didn't you do a home visit, and why didn't you,
but couldn't you just, couldn't a worker, and I hope you're not hiring your workers from Tim Hortons or anything like that, but couldn't at least a minimally seasoned worker, somebody in the agency who at least, has an IQ over, I don't know, the average, couldn't they just drive by the home once or twice and gander at the property and sort of like, like kind of say to themselves, does this look like a home where children are being abused? Couldn't they come in the morning and watch when the children leave for school, or go to the school when they know the children are there and watch the children leave the school and watch them when they go home and see what kind of, greetings they get when they go home? I mean, isn't there anything else that could be done besides being so intrusive?
Well, and we try to be as least intrusive as possible, but we have standards that we have to meet. The legislation says we need to speak to kids. We need to interview parents.
The legislation says that?
If there were different standards that said you can drive by someone's house and not actually, but we're just trying to follow our standards. I can't actually speak to this specific case because I don't have knowledge of that specific case. I can give you a supervisor's phone number that you can call, that you can speak to if you'd like, and she could maybe provide more of assistance to you because I can't, right? Like, I can't speak to the public about,
do you think, no, I understand that you have procedures, but do you think that there will ever come a time where the competence or incompetence of a worker might very well induce a change of the procedures, and that change may be the following, like a person, you would just go to their house with the police, shoot them with a stun gun, render them unconscious with some kind of an intravenous shot, bring them to the hospital, and do a brain scan on them to see what they're thinking, to see if there's been any abuse in any children's life in their entire existence. You think we're going in that direction? Or, are we...
I don't think so.
Well, I'm really concerned about that because you say everyone's subjected to the same standards. And I cannot believe that if you received a call saying that there's a conflict that there's a conflict in a home, every family has conflict. That's what it's about. Family life is full of conflicts, achievements, downfalls, pitfalls, successes. I mean, what the heck?
Well, and I should clarify, right? Like, not just because we've received a call, but because we've received a call of someone expressing concern of abuse or neglect. So someone calls and they say, I'm worried that this child is being abused because I saw, this or that.
Yeah, I saw the parent slap the poor kid.
Yeah, so
God forbid.
We don't know if the caller is telling the truth or making something up.
Yeah, you don't even know if they're not even calling from a mental institution.
Yeah.
Maybe they got a free phone call. Maybe they got 50 cents and they were able to make a call.
We don't know.
Right. That's my point.
So we try and we do our best and we try to follow up, and if when we go out there we try not to be a negative influence on people's lives, but there is a stigma attached to CFS, and some people are very sensitive to the fact that it's very upsetting if there's a knock on their door, if there's a confrontation.
So then you're aware of that. The agency is obviously aware of that and should be taking precautionary measures. That's my point.
Yeah, I think we're definitely aware of who we are and the impact that can have on families, of how upsetting it can be to have as child protection workers, we read the same news articles that you read, right? So we see that and we see the perspectives and the impact in the community. Yeah. But let's just pretend
that one of these children had been slapped, that they had received a slap from one of the parents for, I don't know, spitting at the parent, telling the parent F you, something that would be completely ridiculous, completely, like whatever. Let's say that the parent, and I'm not saying that I condone or agree with that, but let's say that one of the children had been slapped by the parent. Obviously, that's not something that would be acceptable to the agency. So, and if the agency moved in and apprehended the child, they would be taking...
We don't just move, I think that's also something that's a perspective, right? Like, there's this image or idea in the public's eye that we apprehend right away, but we don't. There's lots of situations where, we follow up, we talk with parents, we say, I understand that you might have slapped Bobby, or can you tell me what was happening that led you to be frustrated? Our intent is to keep families together, but to promote safety of the children at the same time, right? So sometimes our intervention just involves having conversations with parents about those choices, and hopefully they will agree or acknowledge that they made the wrong choice, that they're going to make changes in the future, that they're not going to slap their children, or whatever that would have looked like, right? right?
Right. And what about this?
And then
What about
a
a
lot of
family
us
who
do.
hasn't slapped their kid? What about a family who hasn't slapped their kid? What do we do then? Do we interview them, find out that this was a phony, false 911 call, and apologize? Like, is there something in your procedures on how you can retake back, the stigma?
That's when we close the file, right? Like if we followed up, we've determined that children have made no disclosures. Obviously, whoever had called us, maybe they didn't have a full understanding of the situation, or maybe
Oh my God, are you with legal services?
No.
Really? You should be. You should be. Because of the way have you been trained in this type of, in this child protective services arena by like lawyers? Have you ever taken a course from the lawyers?
No, I'm just trying to explain that.
You went to school for social work though, right?
We follow up, and if we find that the case is not, if we find that the allegations are untrue, that's when we close the file and our involvement with the family is concluded, right? So, I mean, I think so.
What about the damage? What about the damage done? I see this woman talking, this Filipino woman talking on CBC News, and it's very, very, very clear that this woman is distraught. And this woman has been psychologically affected, negatively affected by the agency's involvement or intrusiveness in their family's life. You can clearly see on her face when she says, like we don't know how to discipline our children anymore. But like we're afraid.
I guess I'm not really sure what you want to hear from me.
Well, I would love to hear that the government was going to conduct an audit of your agency, that everyone who's working there will have to be registered as a competent and accredited social worker, that their actions they'd be held accountable for their actions, because I see what happened to this family as being absolutely ridiculous. And I can only hope that they hire one of the best lawyers in Canada and take some kind of a civil action against the agency, that the next time some basket case calls from a mental institution, giving their name, address, phone number, who knows what they found on a piece of paper in a garbage dump, that the agency would think twice and say, well, we've got the power, we can do this, let's go. That they would think about it and say, wait a second here, we're responsible for our actions, and we could be sued for millions of dollars if we affect these people's lives in a negative way. Never mind procedure, never mind legislation. Each and every person is responsible for their own actions, and they cannot simply depend on the law to protect them, because the law is based on two words: reasonable and fair. And it seems to me what has been done to this family is neither of those words.
So I've heard what you have to say. I mean, I can bring it to my supervisor, but I don't have control or the power to change.
Nothing will change.
CFS works.
Yeah, nothing will change. No, I know.
Than me.
Yeah, of course. Do I ever know that? If somebody could put the UN on hold, then this would all stop probably. Did you know that Putin, the Russian prime minister, or whatever he is, I think he's the leader of the Russia. His name is Vladimir or whatever, Putin. He's literally going after the New World Order as we speak. It was all on the internet last couple of days.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, he has the kazoos to actually put it out there on the internet that he's not going to... Do you know that they don't have child protective services in Russia? Did you know that? He does.
There's lots of countries that don't.
Yeah, he does not allow renegade and lawless, reckless people to run through his state, ruining lives and destroying children just for profit. That doesn't happen. At the very, he might be a lot of things, but wow, is he ever respected by a lot of people because he doesn't permit certain absolutely insane practices to occur over there in Russia. Wow. So, like if I was wearing a hat right now, I'd take it off for the man, but I don't, not wearing a hat. It's kind of hot here and everything, so I can understand that. Listen, how could I find out if the case has actually been closed on this family? Because to tell you the truth, it's Friday the 13th. I'm a little bit concerned about, any bad karma or whatever happening to me today before midnight. And I would be so, so happy to know that this family was in peace if they knew that this actual complaint or whatever it was, threat to their personal security and the personal development of to everyone in their family was actually, non-existent anymore.
Well, I can't speak to any cases that are in the media, and I can't speak to any one specific case because that's confidential, right? That would be between the worker and the family.
Okay,
so
but you did study social work in school, right? Because
I did not. I studied psychology, actually.
Well, where did you pick up the words speak to and in terms of and all these things that you're saying? Where'd you learn those things?
I don't know. I went to university. I went to university and studied psychology.
So CPS is based on deception and psychology? I thought it was just based on deception.
No, sir. So I can't speak to any specific cases or cases in the media. Even if you were just calling about someone, like a friend that you had made a referral on or something like that, I couldn't tell you about what was happening with their case because that would be between the worker and the family. So the family would know. The family would have a conversation with the worker and be informed about their file being closed. And that would be up to the family to choose whether they're going to share with the world or, whomever's in their life about the outcome of that investigation.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, there isn't really a way for you to know what's going to happen with that specific case.
Unless I contact the family directly and ask them outright.
Maybe they'll choose to share that with you, but that's their right.
Okay, what can I do as a caring and concerned Canadian citizen to try to make sure that this doesn't happen to the next door neighbors of them or their next door neighbors or somebody else? What can I do as a Canadian and concerned citizen with very, very, very high and community-based and pro-social morals? What can I do as an individual, as a person, as a caring individual? What can I do? How can I stop this? What can I do to protect children and families from your agency?
I think generally what your concern is about the processes, right? And the ability for...
No, I think it goes a little... Yeah, I think it goes... I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I think it goes a little more specific and further than that, because I'd have to say that I understand you have these processes and all this stuff, and it's a process, and we have to... And I understand that, because once it's started, once a family is legally ambushed, given 2 or 3 days to show up in court, and they would never have enough time to get all the documentation necessary to show that they were good, loving, and caring parents and that these children were in absolute complete safety. So once that first hearing occurs and they're legally ambushed and what's called an interim decision is taken, keeping the family involved in the legal process for 4 to 5 or 6 years, depending on the situation. But once that first hearing occurs and the family gets legally ambushed and brought to court, you know what? 95% of the people don't even bother getting a lawyer. And do you know why? Because they haven't done anything wrong. So they're thinking in their minds, well, I haven't done anything wrong. It's like being accused of a speeding ticket, and your car can't do more than 50 kilometers an hour, and the speed limit is 100. So you go to court with a letter from a mechanic, confirming that your car cannot do over 50 kilometers an hour, but you didn't know. You didn't know that the people who are accusing you have all kinds of underhanded ways to actually snaggle you into this situation. And you were not prepared to contact a scientist and have your engine opened and check the, the radius or the whatever of your cylinder heads versus, the pressure in your springs. I mean, or in your valves. I mean, who would think?
Yeah. Well, I think, maybe if you spoke to the Minister of Families, right? We have the new government elected, and he oversees.
What is when you say newly government elected? When were they elected? If you don't mind me asking.
It was in April. I think it was April 19th, maybe. I could
Okay.
be wrong,
Who was the last? Who was the last minister?
It was a female. I'm not 100%
Stefan
sure.
Kadir or Stephanie Kadir or something like that?
No, I thought it was Carrie.
Oh, Carrie Ross, perhaps.
Ross.
Yeah. Is she actually gone?
Yeah, there's a new minister.
Oh my! For the love of God! You know what? I knew there was a reason I was making these phone calls, and I am so.
I can give you his name.
I feel so relieved that that woman is gone. Oh my goodness! I was watching her in the news every time that CFS was embarrassed or a kid died, and they just like whatever. And I was watching her talk and speak, and I'm saying, what? Jesus! I'm thinking she should be part of the Shriner Circus because this is crazy. These are children's lives at stake here. Yeah, what is his name?
It's Scott Fielding.
Scott Fielding. I'm sure you know that Mr. Fielding's, his attaché politique or whatever you want to call it. I'm sure his press attaché or whoever, they must have seen this CFS Nightmare article by CBC News.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he's aware of anything that gets in the news.
That's it. That's my point. So, I mean, I don't know, but I do know that, I'm really, 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 I don't know what to tell you, but Sandy Stoker must have been called in for a meeting.
I couldn't speak to that way
Is she still there?
Way above me.
Has she been
Have you spoken to her before? Or?
No, has she been removed or is she walking on eggshells by any? No, I didn't think so.
No, she's still here.
Yeah, I know.
I actually don't know how to get Scott Fielding's phone number. I don't know if I guess you have the computer there. You might be able to figure it out.
Oh, you mean, and he's in the legislature, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, I could probably find it.
But I mean, now that you have his name, I know it's called Minister of Families, but all I can see online is just his picture and no phone number about how to contact him.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at him. It says PC Scott Fielding unseats NDP's Sharon Blady. CTV News, April 19th. What a wonderful day that was. This is, oh my goodness.
Maybe it's so new that his number's not on there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he looks like, I don't know, I'd give him like perhaps 49 to 52. And he is interested in parenting because he's spoken about it in the news. I can see that right here. So that's going to be, I hope he's not, one of those people who believe that, biological parents are bad and, that CFS is desperately needed. Is it, ma'am, would you honestly say, have you been working there for a while?
Yeah.
Could you honestly say that, I'm just wondering, I'm just going to throw this at you because you seem to be a fairly level-headed person and you actually are impressing me for someone in the intake. I would expect you to be like working as a paralegal in the legal services or maybe even a case review officer because or training the social workers on how to speak to the clients because you've got that lingo down pat. Just want to say.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I'm really impressed, as a matter of fact. So would you agree with me? Like in a vague way, like this is not on the record and like that, but would you agree with me that probably 65% of the kids under CFS care as we speak don't even have to be there? That there's resources in the community that could easily meet the children's needs? and that the measures of them being actually declared as being compromised, their personal security, personal development, whatever, would not exist if these community resources were being used to help them out? I'm not saying the other 35, which I really don't believe is more than probably 11 to 12 or 13% out of the whole province. But let's say it's 35, and those people, those children might be in, situations that necessitate apprehension, which is the absolute last thing that should be done. But what about those 65% of other kids? Would you agree with me that 65% of them probably shouldn't even be in the system?
Well, and I couldn't speak to that. I couldn't possibly speak to that. Like that
if I was your boyfriend, if I was your boyfriend, though, we could go out for dinner and you would talk openly about it, right? But I'm not. You know what I mean?
That's right, you're not. I mean, I think that would maybe be a question for the minister, right? Like he has the.
Well, you seem to be very knowledgeable, man. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know much more than the minister. You can't fool me.
Speak to that.
Yeah, you can't fool me. You're very smart.
I don't have Scott Fielding's phone number. I do have the general phone number.
Well, I can give it to you.
Government inquiries,
yeah.
But you can call him and maybe speak to someone in his office about your concerns, because like I said, he has that overarching responsibility of overseeing the things that Child and Family Services does, and he has that responsibility of having those difficult conversations. So, I mean, you could call him, you could express your concern.
I hope you don't think our conversation is difficult, though. I found this to be very entertaining, and you really, really, really are impressing me.
Well, I appreciate that.
You need to be very careful. I have to tell you, before we get off the phone, I need to advise you. You need to be very careful, because there will be people in the office who will be very jealous of you. And they might, over a certain period of time, try to sabotage your job, thinking that you might be taking their job one day. Because that's what happens to good people in agencies like yours. They don't last long, because you have to go with the flow, and you have to just, listen to the boss or the supervisor, or they show you the door. So I'm just telling you, just take it easy, be careful, and keep doing a very, very, very good job, because obviously that's what you're doing.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Hey, no problem. Well, listen, you have a great weekend, and you sure you can't tell me that this file hasn't been closed, because I'd be so happy.
I cannot tell you any information related to a specific family.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay, then, well, what...
And I mean, you could always follow up with the CBC, too, and say, hey, I'm curious to find out.
Oh, yeah, I could call the journalist, and I can ask him or her.
Maybe they'll do a follow-up story with the family.
Yeah.
And maybe the family will want, maybe they'll want that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
That would be, that would be great, because then we'd get, a post perspective of what, just how much damage, just how much intrusiveness was done. But I saw the woman on this video, and I got to tell you, there is absolutely no excuse for any government agency affecting a family to that extent. It is absolutely overkill. It is an abuse of power. And this guy Fielding needs to get his, his act together if he's going to let...
I'm sure you'll give him a call and kind of let him know what your thoughts are on that, and he can maybe let you know whatever his plans are. I don't know what they are, but... Yeah,
they usually hang up the phone on me because they don't like to engage with people who have a brain. When you're intelligent, you can't really talk to these people because they're they have problems just doing that, just checkers, that's a task for them. So it's hard to speak to somebody in a position of power to that extent, because they don't have the answers, and they don't know the answers. They don't even know, what's going on, I could say. And from that perspective, they usually just hang up the phone on people when they're talking to them. It's terrible. It's terrible,
On that note...
Oh, you're going to hang up?
I apologize, but I do have to get back to work and working on some of the reports that I received today.
Okay. Whoa! Don't let me hold you up from protecting children, please. I better let you go. Yeah, you too.
Have a good day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.